bottom line is, this is what could be a large Carrollton city limits, or if your mailing address is Carrollton, Alabama, in Pickens, like trains on a track, we're focusing on the particular storm, but understand there are others. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3 that looks like they're trying to rotate, and tornado warnings are currently in effect for those storms southwest of Pickens County. So if you're in Birmingham, not if storm comes after 6 or 7 o'clock this evening, the state. This is US 82, right, and this is in downtown Carrollton right now.
Yeah, and they say very likely, the Weather Service says that very likely they'll extend this warning to cross over 82.
Right, and if we have Brian Peters on the phone, let me know. Brian is coming down on this from Fayette County, and he is in the process of looking at this storm from the north side. And again, you're not going to be able to see a tornado specifically from his angle, but Brian will be safe on the approach in. He's coming into Pickens County from the north. We are also watching a cell in southern Lamar County. Okay, Brian, tell us where you are and what you got.
Okay, I'm in Pickens County. I'm still on Alabama 159. I'm now out of the lineup of that couplet, so I'm not in the path of the tornado, but I should be coming up on US 82 at Bordeaux here in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, Brian, have you heard of any damage from your end over there in that part of the state?
No, James, and the road is almost completely deserted. There's been nobody on this highway, I think, since maybe 2 or 3 cars, but that's about it since I left Fayette. So it's people are obviously, I think, inside probably watching the various coverages and I hope thinking about seeking shelter.
Right, and we know that there has been damage reported in parts of Pickens County from this storm. We're getting reports of damage now near Aliceville and McMullen. This is from apparently a large tornado. I don't know of injuries. Received a social media message from the local newspaper there in Pickens County, and they are reporting damage in the southern part of their county as well. We don't have specifics on that. But again, this is coming from the Pickens County Herald. Are on the way. This down southern Pickens County. Again, this is the vicinity of Alice. Is probably what could be a very strong just northeast of the city of Carrollton right now. And again, it doesn't take, in a case like this, much to see what's going on here. Signature, and it's very close to downtown Carrollton. Let's flip it over. Resolution rate. This is going to show the display. And again, you can see that velocity couplet. I'll say this, it's not as tight as it was 5 minutes ago. It's still there, just not as tight as it was. And hopefully as this moves north and maybe gets into a little different air mass, it will weaken. But I'm not so Pickens is any different from the airman up again, which is
included Lamar, the northeast corner of Pickens, northwest corner. That is until 6 p.m.
Right. And again, let's go back to the graphic system. I want to show that new polygon. This is a new tornado that will include parts of Fayette, Lamar, Tuscaloosa. And I hear that you might hear some sirens going on here, some talk about Tuscaloosa County being under a warning. It is a very tiny section, basically from Brownville north up to Newtonville. Now, warnings the south part of Fayette.
Very close, that's 82 in Gordo. What's interesting is I've been through a little bit of rain, much, but just a little bit. I've also begun to see a good deal of lightning. It appears to be mostly in cloud, but still I'm getting lightning, which is something I haven't seen so far. And the road still remains, just past one car, still, the road remains very empty, and that's good. I hope people are inside taking this very seriously, because I've been following the radar just like you have been, and that is one serious-looking echo on the radar.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And again, the best depiction of this thing is coming from the Columbus Air Force Base radar that's north of Columbus, Mississippi. It's got a good straight shot in there. And again, the radar signature is very impressive, and that's going to be coming right up on Gordo. And again, if you're watching us, we have what is apparently a large tornado that is down in West Alabama's Pickens County. We have reports of damage near Aliceville. Paramedics are en route. We don't have specifics involving injuries or the extent of the damage at this point. It's very early in the game, but just be aware that there's very significant damage that has been reported. And this is a very dangerous storm. We encourage everybody that's in the path of this to take it seriously. And again, let me just say for Aliceville, let's give you an all clear. I know we're waiting a little longer than usual tonight, but because this is a very dangerous situation, we want to play this perfectly safe. But again, for this storm, we can give Aliceville an all clear. There are others coming up from the southwest, but from this one storm, we can give Aliceville an all clear. We're not going to do that for Carrollton. What could be a large tornado is still maybe now in the city limits of Carrollton, moving northeast, but the concern, it's going to be reform. I will say this, Gordo is on the far edge of this polygon, and as a course of least regret, you might want to stay in your safe place if you're in Gordo, but if you live in Reform, Coalfire, Ethelsville, anywhere close to Reform, you want to be in a safe place. This big storm that's come through Carrollton is basically going to come right up the chute here. And again, Reform is sitting right here. So the next larger population center is the community of... And let's go back to the high-resolution radar and wanted to show you. And again, Charles, just for the fun of it, you might check that camera at the elementary school. I'm pretty sure it's down. And again, we hope to get that back soon. But again, that is the tornado signature on radar moving northeast. This is Reform. This is US 82. And we're not going to start splitting hairs and calling off streets and neighborhoods. We can do that. When you're dealing with what could be a large tornado, that's not a wise game to play. We just want everybody in the city limits of Reform, like everybody in the city limits of Carrollton, to be in a good, safe place. And again, multiple reports of very significant damage from this storm, this tornado, back in the southwestern part of Pickens County.
Anybody west of that 17 corridor, if you're along 17 from Carrollton to Reform and west, you need to be in that safe place right now. It is traveling almost perpendicular, or rather parallel to 17 right up there. It's going to cross over 82 in about 5 to 10 minutes. It's just moving along. So Carrollton, you need place anywhere along Highway 17 and west right now.
And again, a couple of points here is the fact that, number one, if you are in the city of Tuscaloosa and if you're hearing a tornado warning, I want to be sure you understand this tornado was tornado warning. It's not under warning. It is a very small fraction of northwest Tuscaloosa County, basically from about Brownville north of Highway 171. So if you are in Tuscaloosa, you are not under a tornado warning at this point.
And we got reports of damage in the Saps community. That was where that rotation went right over just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, tell you what, if we can, let's go back to, this is a short video that I was coming from, again, Dancy. This is that wall cloud, and there could be a tornado in this segment right here. Again, this is back when the storm was coming through northern Sumter County a little earlier. In fact, let me re-rack this again. We thank everybody for their images. You're our windows to the world on a day like today. It's really amazing how social media has certainly changed the way we can see things out here. But again, that's the rain-free base. This is a wall cloud that could be a large tornado you see right there. And again, that is... Again, this is the storm that's coming up on Reform right now. This is the storm that came through just west of Aliceville. It's a storm that just passed through Carrollton, and it's a storm that is coming up on Reform now. So again, we just want to stress that this is a storm that has produced multiple reports of major damage. We don't know of any injuries at this point. Let's go back to the major radar we had behind us here. And again, that's the tornado indication. Now, we can give an all clear for Carrollton. This tornado has been, Charles, I have not heard of any specific image.
Yeah, I think maybe lag of Saps community damage formed down out of this thing. I mean, I don't know if it would be maybe about the size of a quarter, but some indications of probably some large hail coming down across the Highway 82 corridor. And that's what folks are going to experience first. You're going to get some heavy rain, some hail, and then this storm kind of coming up on the tail end there. And that rotation, it looks like it's just northwest of Stansel right now, or just actually almost due west of Stansel, between that and Beard's Mill. And the rotation with this has been impressive. We've seen velocities in excess of 130 miles an hour, and we still kind of get those same readings. Here's about 110 right there, although it looks a little bit more broad at this point. That doesn't mean it's clear. It just looks like that storm might be cycling a little bit.
I don't know.
Re-strengthen a little bit.
Check this out.
We got a new sweep coming in.
Yeah, let me show you the high res. Let me show you the high res radar. And
Yeah, no, it's starting to tighten up again.
Yeah, and it's cyclic. What happens, it'll cycle down for a few volume scans, and then the intensity of the scan, and what could be a very violent tornado that is moving right up into downtown Reform right now, or very close to Reform. So anybody around Pickens County High School, into downtown Reform, you know the drill. Now, you should have been in a safe place 45 minutes ago. You've had 45 minutes notice with this, and it is here. And again, please resist the temptation to go look out the window or go walk in the front yard and look for this thing. It could be rain wrapped. You might have trees that block your view. And what's the point? We've seen the pictures. We know there's damage. We know it's there. It doesn't make any sense. You're wasting valuable time that you need to be in that safe place. So again, we have potential now for a large tornado that is located near Reform in Pickens County along US 82. And obviously, nobody should be driving along US 82 from Gordo to Ethelsville. And we understand there's a contingent of basketball fans coming from Tuscaloosa to Starkville. The University of Alabama plays Mississippi State at Humphrey Coliseum tonight. Please stop and with this. So, and when we can all clear, can take off time to get there. Let's go back to Brian Peters' live stream, and let's see, Brian, if you can. If Brian's still on the line with us, Brian, where are you now?
Yes, James. I'm on US 82, right where you're telling everybody not to drive. That's where I am. I'm now just a little bit northwest of Gordo, approaching Reform. Since I turned on the US 82, the intensity of the lightning has been much greater. There are periods involving up to 20 or 30 seconds in which there will be nearly continuous lightning that is lightening up the sky. There's not bolts that you can see, but it's flashing to where you're getting this light. And so obviously the clouds are moving very little, at least it's what it appears right now. But obviously they must be moving at a pretty good clip since we're as close as we are to where the tornado signature is.
Okay, Brian, and again, tell me now, are you between Gordo and Reform? Where exactly are you in that shot there?
I am between Gordo and Reform, and I think in just a moment as we come around this corner, there's a real dark lowering off to my left, the left of the picture that you're seeing. The road looks like it's going to turn a little bit looks like it's going to turn a little bit to the, well, everybody is stopping, and this may be the police.
Brian, this might be crossing over right in front of you right now. So,
let's hold that shot.
The thing is, James, before the trees came in on my left, I could see what appears to be something a lot darker, which would be crossing right in front of me. And I think that's why these cars are slowing down. They're probably listening or talking to you or hearing you on the radio.
Right, and again, we're all watching your stream together, Brian. In fact, let's leave that full screen if we can.
Yeah,
I want that is. There we go. Thank you. Watch the rain-free base on the horizon, and we're going to watch this together. That large tornado should be crossing US 82 at any minute. About how far east of Gordo are you, Brian? Do you know offhand?
I'm west of Gordo.
Oh, I'm sorry. How far east of Reform are you?
I think I'm probably about halfway. I'm seeing right here Reform city limits.
Yeah, and we've got a report of significant damage with this back in Aliceville. That's coming in from the National Weather Service. They're reporting significant structure damage near Aliceville just a little while ago, about 15 minutes ago, as that storm was moving through there. So, Brian, just be careful.
Yes, believe it or not, the wind is practically calm right here. It's very amazing. There's pine trees and other trees without leaves, but there's a lot of lightning right ahead of me. But it's very, very calm right here. And I mean the clouds are very dark, and it looks like to my right the clouds are moving either away from me or towards the south, which would be to the left, which would indicate that we're very close to the mesocyclone.
All right, and again, we're just all watching this together, Brian. This is that we're going to stay with this. Again, we have the one tornado warning that is in effect for West Alabama's Pickens County. There's a very, very, very large TDS on this thing that's to the west of Reform, Brian. Based on the TDS, the tornado is now north of US 82. But as you have presented in conferences, sometimes by looking at radar, you don't exactly know the location of the tornado. But I would say that what we have right now is an extremely large tornado with a very large tornado debris signature. Goodness, this is a wicked-looking tornado debris signature that's actually coming up almost on the Lamar County line.
It's going to be just left of on this picture right there, and they're going to allow that first warning to expire. The second warning will take over, and that is through 6 o'clock, just so you know, and they're going to let the first original one expire. That's generally along Highway 82 and south, so Stansel and Carrollton, you guys will be clear, but the next warning, which includes parts of Tuscaloosa, Lamar, and Fayette County, will continue. So those of you watching on a phone, or if you're watching those warnings, don't let your guard down yet. My goodness.
And again, we're just going to hang with this. There is a large tornado that is about to go up into Lamar County. Let me just say, if you were located in Millport or Kennedy, being a safe, this is not a storm play game. You don't want to wait. You want to get into a safe place right now. In fact, let me very quickly, let's go to the high-res radar. If we can double box maybe me and the high-res radar behind me and Brian's shot. And Brian, if you come up on any damage, let us know.
Certainly.
That's the tornado debris signature right there. That is a very large area of lofted debris that is moving up into Lamar County. And again, this has cleared Reform. It's coming up now on southern Lamar, and obviously nobody should be traveling along Highway 17 up toward Millport. Millport or Kennedy, you've got to be in a safe place right now. And again, that is a look at the correlation coefficient product. Let me show you what the velocity looks like. And again, this is that's what it looked like a little earlier coming through Reform. And again, that's your velocity couplet there. And Brian, you looks like you're in Reform now. I can tell by the lights.
Yes, I'm actually at the intersection with 17.
He needs to go north.
Yeah, go. What we want you to do, Brian, is go north, and you're going to be safe. Go north up toward Millport.
Okay.
And take a right. Again, Brian is obviously downtown Reform is okay. As far as you can tell, Brian, you've seen no damage, right?
I've seen no damage.
Right. This thing crossed US 82 a little west of Reform, out there toward Coalfire and Ethelsville. And again, Brian is taking a right. He just turned on Alabama Highway 17, and he's going to go up and come in on the backside of this thing. But again, we've clearly got major storm damage in the county. I can't tell you about the injuries. I can't tell you about anything else at this point because obviously first responders are just on the scene. It's a little chaotic, and we're not going to know much. I will tell you what I know. I will not tell you what I don't know when it comes to storm damage and injuries. So again, this is a large tornado that is now moving out of the Reform area up toward Millport and Kennedy. Let's go back to the main radar behind me here, and we're going to leave Brian's shot up. And Charles, it looks like the structure changing a little bit, maybe not as well organized as it was. But it's still there. Understand, we're not trying to lessen the urgency of this thing. It's still there.
It may have been, we might be on a down cycle right now. And, one of the things I've been kind of monitoring while we've been watching Brian, I've been trying to do a little bit more of a mesoanalysis. Looking to the south, there's nothing down there. We're starting to see some more showers and storms picking up, but there's not a lot down there to cut off that inflow coming from the south. So as these storms move in, they've got plenty of moisture, plenty of fuel. And this is part of the area that they saw a lot of sunshine over in West Alabama earlier today, and that was very concerning around midday today. Temperatures got into the mid to upper 70s. We had some record highs in a few spots to the west, and that's where we're seeing these storms really firing up. Now, I will say this, as looking at the analysis, as these storms continue to move more northeast, they're going to start to move into the area less favorable to continue, unfortunately, still into parts of Lamar, Fayette, and Tuscaloosa counties. But as these continue to move more north and more east, the environment is becoming a little bit less favorable. We have a warmer layer aloft that's kind of helping keep a lid on. And then again, we're starting to see to our south, and I'm looking at the large view of the, pull that up, the big radar here, and you can see to our south, we've got some showers and storms starting to fire up. So that's going to start to eat away. Let those I take away from Brian's feet. But we're starting to develop areas southward as we see some of that development. I think that's going to help us out going forward into the evening hours. But this is just round one. Then we've got the squall line later tonight, and we could see more of a linear event, meaning straight line wind damage tonight into early tomorrow morning. So this is the first part of it this evening. Then more storms tonight in the form of a squall line, and straight line wind damage is not out of the question. So I think by tomorrow we're going to be talking about some widespread power outages. We're already getting reports of some damage throughout parts of Pickens and back into, well, Pickens and now even in parts of Sumter County, I believe, earlier. But James, you know, we were talking about this, these storms again lining up. We've got another storm moving into East Mississippi now. It looks like maybe perhaps near Scuba again. You can see here these storms are going to follow a very similar path. So you've got another tornado warning over in East Mississippi, could potentially be crossing over into Pickens County again here soon. And I just heard some weather radios go off. It sounded like, or that was Brian's phone. I'm not sure.
I think that was my watch. It went down and everything beeps. Hey, let me show you this image real quick. We'll take the image behind me. This is from earlier today. This was down in Pickens County along Highway 14. And again, you can see some fairly extensive timber damage. And like we've talked about, this is a part of the state that's fairly sparsely populated. And again, we've obviously got a lot of timber damage. There's been some structural damage in there. But again, that's what it looked like on Highway 14 when the tornado came through. And you can see almost all those trees are down. Over on the other side of the screen, we're watching Brian Peters' live stream. Brian is streaming from northern Pickens County. And Brian, again, let's take you full and tell us where you are and what you've got. Looks like it's pouring rain there.
It is pouring rain, James, and interestingly enough, the couplet is just off to my left, kind of left front. I'm getting a very strong wind from the left side, so I'm in the southern end of the mesoscale circulation right now, on the outskirts of the broader rotation from which the tornado itself grows.
Yeah, in fact, let me show another image real quick. I want to put an image behind me. We're getting a lot of images now coming from the field. This is another look at that large wedge tornado coming through Pickens County earlier today. So we've got multiple images and reports of damage. So again, Brian, just to let you know, it's pretty bad. Now, Brian, tell us about looks like it's getting dark and the visibility is getting bad. This is not spotter. This is not your ideal spotter setup here, is it?
No, not really. I believe if there is a tornado at this moment, it is probably rain-wrapped. I don't think there's a whole lot of doubt about that because I can put on the map my location relative to the couplet, and I'm pretty sure the couplet is, or the intensest part of the rotation is north of me, but I can't see much because we're getting all this rain wrapping around it. So I'm not moving very fast, less than 25 miles an hour right now. I have seen some evidence that there's been some strong wind in terms of some small debris on the road, but nothing indicating any trees are down. As a matter of fact, all the areas I'm passing, the power is still on. So it could be one of those situations where we're seeing that very strong couplet, and yet it's not actually coming all the way to the ground.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Brian, as we look at your live feed, this is coming from the National Weather Service chat. The tornado warning looks like the tornado is lifted for now. The velocity couplet is not as intense. Correlation coefficient, TDS, has gone away, but we have seen the storm has had a history of cycling, and the Weather Service is going to maintain the current warning. The trajectory is going to take the storm into southwest county or southwest Fayette County. And again, that's just much than it was. And again, that's coming up into Fayette County. This is the city of Fayette. And we stress, if you're in this polygon, even though we're saying this might have lifted for now, it could come right back down. So don't let up on your guard. If you are in the communities of Fayette or Berry or Newtonville, down into Tuscaloosa County, around Brownville, or points north of Highway 171, we want you to be in a safe place. And the same thing over in Lamar County. If you are in Millport or Kennedy, we want you to be in a safe place until this thing passes. It's moving along at a pretty good track. We'll put the main radar back here behind me, and again, we'll show this one storm of concern. And this is the only tornado warning we have in the state. We have showers in other parts of the state. The reason we're focusing on Pickens and Lamar and Fayette, this is the only game in town right now when it comes to tornado action. And again, you can see that the structure is clearly not as wrapped up as it was earlier. This is Lamar. This is Fayette. This is Pickens County, and again, you can see that particular tornado signatures coming up toward the southwestern part of Fayette County, and it could very well affect the city of Fayette. So you know the course of action here. No vehicles, no mobile homes. If you live in a mobile home, you should be in a designated shelter. This is something your family needs to talk about, not 5 minutes before a tornado gets there, but something you want to plan when there's no bad weather. But you need to be in your safe place now. And
they've trimmed Tuscaloosa out of there.
Yeah, right. And I think that's the right thing to do. The Weather Service has taken Tuscaloosa County out. And please understand, the city of Tuscaloosa was never involved in this. The big population centers, this was a very small sliver of northwest Tuscaloosa County. So the Weather Service has taken out Tuscaloosa County from the warning. So now we have a tornado warning for parts of Fayette, Lamar, and Pickens counties until 6 o'clock this evening. But the storm that's southeast of Millport moving northeast at about 45 miles an hour. Brian Peters is over in the Benchmark Jeep Storm Chaser. He is looking into this. And Brian, what do you got for us?
That's still the same, James. I'm noticing that the wind is not nearly as strong as it has been. It's still blowing a little bit, and we're still getting little tiny debris, small leaves and groups of leaves on the highway, but no evidence of any significant damage out here. And all the power of all the houses I've gone by, there's not many of them out here, but all the power seems to be on all the houses. So that's a good sign that there hasn't been more damage.
Have you made it up to Palmetto yet? There's a small community there. Do you know?
I don't think so. I haven't seen a sign to that effect. There's not a lot out here.
Yeah, you're going to be right there in the northern fringe of the county, and that's where, if there is a rotation, it's going to be crossing over 17 right there. So you should be coming up on it pretty soon.
Yeah, I haven't seen any evidence other than the fact that there has been, some good-sized wind, probably on the order of 35 to 40 miles an hour, causing the small debris to come down. Excuse me. But other than that, haven't really seen any evidence of any damage in this area. And I noticed on the radar that the couplet is much broader than it has been, and so therefore there's a good possibility it has lifted, and that's why I'm just getting rain right now. And I think you can see ahead of me to the left a light on, so you can tell that the power is definitely on here. So if there'd been some damage, I think, and there's a light to the right, if there'd been some damage, I think we would have seen the power out, and no evidence of that at all. But I have not seen any signs indicating Palmetto, Charles.
Hey, let me show you guys a picture real quick. Here, a lot of images are coming in. This is another shot of the tornado. We've seen so many of these. This is a shot from Cochran, which is near Aliceville. So thanks to Debbie Snow for taking the time to send this in. We have had so many of these images today. And again, this is our window to the world. But many, 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 many images have come in of a very significant tornado coming up through Pickens County. Our news department, they have talked with the Pickens County Medical Center in Aliceville, and they say a lot of people have taken shelter inside the emergency room. They had nurses that were basically stuck there. They've been not able to leave. They have no injuries at the hospital at the moment. This is the county hospital for Pickens County, but they say there are many calls coming in with injuries, and they suspect that people will be having some at the hospital there in Aliceville. So again, we're going to check back with them, but at the moment, the hospital in Aliceville, they've not taken in any injury cases, but they are expecting some. So again, if you're just joining us, we are here because of a very dangerous weather situation on the western side of the state. We have multiple reports of tornado damage across parts of Pickens County, and that storm is now moving up towards southwestern Fayette. We've got Brian Peters on the storm. Brian is in the Benchmark Jeep Storm Chaser on the one side of your screen. Let's go back to the main graphic system, and let me show you the radar here. And again, you can see that the storm has really not as organized as it was 20 or 30 minutes ago. This looks nothing like the big storm that we had when it came through the southern part of Pickens County. And again, looking at the data here, the velocity data still shows some circulation. I don't want to give the impression that the tornado is gone. It could be, but we honestly don't know that. Again, that's the velocity display coming off our main graphic system. And again, you can see this is Kennedy and this is Millport. And obviously, this circulation is going to be passing well to the east east of Millport. But again, if you're in Millport or Kennedy, I would still stay in a safe place for about 15 more minutes. And again, this is coming up into southwestern Fayette County and ultimately toward the city of Fayette. Let me go to the high-resolution radar behind me. And again, this is a look at the velocity couplet. And again, you can see that it's clearly right here.